Hello. Welcome to Archival Adventures. I think we're going to go ahead and get started today. Apparently, I'm here in a dark void today. I just noticed, like, my dark blue sweater kind of blends in with the black background. Anyway, welcome to Archival Adventures. Welcome to an adventure today. I hope that you're all having a pleasant beginning to your December. Today's plan is that we're going to look at some materials related to AIDS, particularly from the 1980s, because today is World AIDS Day. December 1st every year is World AIDS Day and has been, I believe, since 1989. So that's why we're going to be looking at that today. Sorry, I just got a calendar alert on my phone telling me it was time for me to be doing the stream. So, yay! Hi, Key Squared. Before we get fully into it, as always, I'm going to read the Land and Labor Acknowledgement from Virginia Tech, because this is a stream from Virginia Tech Special Collections and University Archives, and so since it is a public event, I feel it is important to go ahead and read this statement from the university that is intended to be shared. So I share it. Virginia Tech acknowledges that we live and work on the Tutelo and Monacan people's homeland, and we recognize their continued relationships with their lands and waterways. We further acknowledge that legislation and practices like the Morrill Act of 1862 enabled the Commonwealth of Virginia to finance and found Virginia Tech through the forced removal of Native nations from their lands, both locally and in Western territories. We understand that honoring Native peoples without explicit material commitments falls short of our institutional responsibilities. Through sustained, transparent, and meaningful engagement with the Tutelo and Monacan peoples and other Native nations, we commit to changing the trajectory of Virginia Tech's history by increasing Indigenous student, staff, and faculty recruitment and retention, diversifying course offerings, and meeting the growing needs of all Virginia tribes and supporting their sovereignty. We must also recognize that enslaved Black people generated revenue and resources used to establish Virginia Tech and were prohibited from attending until 1953. Through Inclusive VT, the institutional and individual commitment to Ut Prosim, that I may serve, in the spirit of community, diversity, and excellence, we commit to advancing a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive community. So that is the official university statement regarding land and labor here at Virginia Tech. And I read it for my public events because I do think it is important to acknowledge what the university has said, what they have put forward as commitments, and then hold them accountable to actually fulfilling the commitments that they make. So anyway, yeah, today is World AIDS Day, and we're going to be looking at some materials from our collections that relate to the topic of AIDS. I knew of one off the top of my head as soon as I saw that I was going to be streaming today, and I was like, oh, I know, there's some good stuff there. And then I went looking and I found more. So that was pleasantly surprising. I didn't expect to find a lot. It's not exactly a topic that we make a concerted effort to collect on. So we have a lot of like university-related stuff, but then we also just have some other more general stuff that I think will be kind of interesting to look at. We are going to be starting with the Mark Weber papers. So let me go ahead and pull up the finding aid and tell you a little bit about who Mark Weber was, or is. He is indeed still among the living. So let me go ahead and pull this up and I will tell you, come on, internet, load the page. All right, so the first materials that we're going to look at are from the Mark A. Weber papers. Mark Weber was a student at Virginia Tech from 1983 to 1987, during which he served first as secretary and then as president of the gay student group Lambda Horizon. Weber graduated from Virginia Tech with a Bachelor of Science in Marketing and went on to complete a Master of Business Administration in Marketing at the George Washington University School of Business. Following his education, Weber served as Director of the Office of Communications for the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and later as Deputy Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs and Human Services with the United States Department of Health and Human Services. A lot of what's in the collection is actually materials from his time as a leader within Lambda Horizon, which was the LGBT student group. And I say LGBT except it was the gay and lesbian student group in the 1980s. So what we've got to start with is materials from this collection. Hi, Hannah, how are you today? I just pulled the box out and the other folders fell over, so 1 second. Okay. Folders 13 through 19 in box 1 of this collection are the ones that are of interest today. And honestly, this collection, Mark Weber's papers, are gold. Like, Mark gave us mostly stuff from when he was a leader of a student group here on campus. But before he donated the papers, we basically had zero documentation of LGBTQ+ history here at Virginia Tech. His papers are the foundation of everything else that we've built in our collections to document the history of LGBTQ+ students here at this institution. And so I find myself returning to them quite often because they're actually pretty good. You'll mainly be lurking and listening. That's totally fine, Hannah. Let me... As you can see, I'm just in the void. I could try turning, no, I'm gonna stick with it. I'm in a dark void today. Let me actually switch over to the document camera so that you can see what I'm looking at. I put the folder down and I was about to start talking about it, and I totally didn't realize that I hadn't switched over to the document camera yet, so you all wouldn't be able to see it anyway. Ooh, out of focus. Come on, I pushed the focus button. Did the focus button focus? There it goes. You're prepping tomorrow's lessons while listening? That's totally fine. All right, so we have the Weber collection on Lambda Horizon, AIDS Education Committee scrapbook, 1985 to 1986. So let's take a look and see what we have in here. I say as though I don't actually know. I mean, I don't really remember lots of detail, but I have worked with this collection before and I'm fairly familiar with what's involved. So we have this booklet. This came out of a binder, it looks like. You can see the rusty, this would have been one of those binders with like the push lever to hold things in, which actually I really like that style a lot, but metal, rusts, who knew? So here we have this, I'm just trying to adjust the camera so that things work well for you all, because this is set up differently every time. All right, cover page, AIDS. A scrapbook of the AIDS Education Committee effort at Virginia Tech in 1985-86 school year, containing news releases, letters, posters, programs, tent cards, and program outline for the forum held at Virginia Tech. So let us see exactly what's going on here. Every person, regardless of race, gender, or sexual orientation, should know how AIDS can be prevented. It was with this thought in mind that an AIDS Education Committee was formed at Virginia Tech in November 1986. This is a sample of the work of the committee. So, ACHA action. ACHA Task Force on AIDS to develop guidelines for college health. I don't know most of the stories that are in here, so we'll find out. Responding to the challenge of a new and serious public health problem, Margaret Bridewell, MD, president of ACHA, has established a task force on AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, to develop guidelines for college health professionals and disseminate rapidly changing knowledge to the field. Richard P. Keeling, MD, director of the University of Virginia Student Health Services, has been appointed to chair the group. The task force will work to develop guidelines in the areas of patient care, prevention, provider risk, living arrangements, and legal and ethical issues. In a statement communicated to the university and college health service directors, announced that the Task Force on AIDS has been established because the American College Health Association is convinced that AIDS will become not only a primary national health issue, but a major concern on college campuses. Oh, and we have a raid coming in. Welcome, 16-bit Eric and Whimsies. Let me switch to face cam real quick to say hello. Welcome, everybody, to Archival Adventures. You have raided in on the Rogan 27 channel. I co-stream this also to the VTUL Studios channel. This is a show that I do weekly for the Special Collections and University Archives at Virginia Tech. So what this show consists of is me sharing materials from the archives. Today's program, because today is World AIDS Day, I am sharing materials related to AIDS from our archives. Most of it is, one of the major highlights of it is material from the mid-1980s from a student-led educational effort here at Virginia Tech, where the students created an AIDS education committee and an AIDS education event here. And sort of were pioneers for education around the topic of AIDS on college campuses in Virginia. And so that is some of what we're going to be looking at today. But welcome in everybody from the Whimsies. It is great to have you here. Tumor Boy, it's good to see you. Rule of Lore, thank you for the follow. And yeah, so the next 2 hours we'll be looking at materials related to AIDS, mostly from the 1980s for World AIDS Day. It is lovely to have you all here. I hope that the end of your stream went well, Eric, and I hope that everybody feels welcome. This is not just a presentation. If you have questions about the documents that you're seeing, feel free to pop those in chat. If you have commentary or additional knowledge that you want to add to the discussion, this is meant to be educational and a conversation. So if you have stuff to add, feel free to do so. If you have questions about archival process or how we preserve materials or what kinds of materials are interested, the archives might be interested in, why we have the materials that we're looking at today, feel free to ask those questions as well. I'm going to switch back to the document view so that we can look at this stuff together. So for those of you who just joined, we are currently looking at a booklet here. This is from the Mark Weber papers. Mark Weber was a student at Virginia Tech from 1983 to 1987. Did I switch? I did. Sorry, my monitor is very behind. A student from 83 to 87, he was the leader of a student LGBT group, or rather a student gay and lesbian group called Lambda Horizon, and led many of the efforts around the AIDS education effort put forward by that student group. He later went on to be the director of the Office of Communications for the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and then even later as the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs and Human Services with the United States Department of Health and Human Services. So we are looking at a scrapbook of the AIDS Education Committee effort at Virginia Tech in 1985-86 school year, containing news releases, letters, posters, programs, tent cards, and program outline for the forum held at Virginia Tech. So we were looking, let's go ahead and move to the next page and see what we've got. So Collegiate Times, this would be this is a photocopy of a newspaper article from the college newspaper here. The Collegiate Times is the student newspaper. So this is from October 29th, 1985. Health officials to form task force to study AIDS on Tech's campus. By Vonda Page. With the recent questions and controversy surrounding whether or not AIDS victims should be allowed to attend public schools and colleges, Virginia Tech's Student Health Services has decided to form a task force to study AIDS in hopes of disseminating information on the disease and educating the campus community, a health official said. Joanne Underwood, we also have her papers. Surprisingly, her papers did not pop when I was looking for things on this topic. Joanne Underwood, Director of Health Education and one of the main forces behind formulating the task force, said she hopes the task force will be formed by the end of this week. The task force will be composed of medical personnel, the Director of Student Health Services, Dr. C.W. Schiffert, students, housing and counseling center officials, and any interested citizens. The Virginia Tech Union also is interested in joining the task force. So Virginia Tech Union, this is not like a labor union. Virginia Tech Union was essentially a body on campus that arranged for events on campus. So they would bring in like musical acts or theatrical performances that were touring the country, and they would book them into spaces on campus. But other large events they were also involved in the planning and promotion of. The task force will disseminate information through the Speaker's Bureau and newspaper articles, she said, as fast as we can get the information we want to let the campus know. As far as setting guidelines for dealing with AIDS, Tech primarily will take none of what the American College Health Association says, or will take note of what they say. Schiffert, which is the Student Health Service, currently is working with other Tech administrators, including housing officials, to formulate policies. However, Tech already has decided policy on persons who have an active case of AIDS. Tech will ask a student who has open contagious skin lesions to withdraw and seek medical treatment, Underwood said. This will be treated the same way we'd treat a case of a student who has active chickenpox. The patient's doctor-patient confidentiality will be protected. Underwood said she knows of no reported cases of AIDS on campus. She also said health services has not received many inquiries about AIDS from students. There's a strange lack of curiosity. We've had more colds here than anything, she said. So, yeah, interesting. Gonna move on to the next one. Just see what we've got. Another article on this formation of the task force. I'm gonna move to the next. Okay, so we've got a headline here from Collegiate Times, November 8th, 1985, page A7. Condoms help prevent against AIDS virus, or help protect against AIDS virus. Looks like this was actually written by Joanne Underwood. Sexually transmitted diseases are on the rise, and a number of them are viral and incurable. AIDS is the disease causing the most fear and panic at this time. AIDS is a fatal disease found most frequently in the gay male population of large cities. People out here in the country figure it can't happen here or to them, but it can. Education is the only weapon we have to fight AIDS. It is a complex, deadly viral disease that cripples the very cells needed to fight the disease. In other words, it affects the immune responses of the body. That is why it is called acquired immune deficiency syndrome. The body, when affected by this syndrome, falls prey to all kinds of opportunistic infections that cannot be fought by the crippled immune system. So let's see, it looks like there are a number of other newspaper articles in this document. What else do we have in here? All right, we have a letter here on letterhead from Mark Weber, president of Lambda Horizon, dated February 15th, 1986. Dear friend, the members of Lambda Horizon were excited before about what is happening at Virginia Tech, but now we are ecstatic. We have been working with and taking the initiative with Virginia Tech administration to present the most comprehensive AIDS educational forum in the state and possibly the country on March 1st, 1986. Lambda Horizon is funding from donations, dues, and a small grant from student activities over $750 for this program. Enclosed is a copy of the press release issued by Virginia Tech on behalf of the AIDS Education Committee. I have also included 2 soon-to-be-released campus publication articles about Lambda Horizon and the AIDS Education Committee. There will be a reception following the forum, making it possible for Tech administrators to meet with our guest speakers. Lambda Horizon is hosting this reception, and we need to present our best. Our guest list includes the governor, university president, all administrators, directors, deans, department heads, and contributing members of Lambda Horizon. This is where you can help in continuing the goodwill that is being established between Tech's administration and Lambda Horizon. Your financial support is needed. This is our big chance. Please help us in making the most of it. So this sounds like a letter asking for donations to support the program. What I find extraordinarily interesting here is this is 1986, and he's talking about really good collaboration between Lambda Horizon, the gay and lesbian student organization on campus, and the campus administration. When just 7 years earlier, 1979, what was it called? The Gay Student Union? I can't remember off the top of my head at the moment. But just 7 years before, the Gay and Lesbian Student Organization was struggling to make people know that there were gay and lesbian people at Virginia Tech. That was when Denim Day was held, and the administration reacted very poorly to the Denim Day, which was part of Gay Awareness Week. And basically, they had some backlash from that. So within 7 years, they had gotten to a point where they were established on campus enough to have a good working relationship with the administration, at least. Hello, Kupima. Welcome. So included with that was an example of, this would be a flyer. I know that they also had these as table cards, but you can see it's an event advertisement for the AIDS Educational Forum. AIDS, Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome, What Everyone Needs to Know. Watch for the AIDS Educational Forum, March 1st, 1986. Sponsored by the AIDS Education Committee, Student Health Services, Office of Housing and Residence Life, Lambda Horizon, and University Counseling Services. The symptoms of AIDS: persistent excessive tiredness, recurring fevers, unexplained weight loss, persistent enlargement of the lymph nodes, glands, sore throat that doesn't go away, new persistent cough, easy bruising or unexplained bleeding, persistent diarrhea, purple bumps or blotches on skin. So this is, again, 1986, and these were the symptoms that they were aware of at the time. Reducing your risk, reduce number of sexual partners. Know your sexual partners well. Avoid the exchange of bodily fluids. Use condoms. Avoid injury to body tissues. Don't use intravenous drugs. Don't mix alcohol or other drugs with sexual encounters. And don't share razors, toothbrushes, or tweezers. If a friend has AIDS, AIDS patients have more to fear from you than you have to fear from them. They need your support and friendship. You can help by continuing to talk with them and to share activities. AIDS is not an easy disease to get and is not passed on by casual contact with those infected. Who gets AIDS? Anyone can get AIDS, so it is important for all students to be informed and to know how to protect themselves. For more information, they apparently had a Virginia Tech AIDS hotline, which I would have to do research, but my assumption, my guess, my hypothesis as to what this hotline was is that this is probably the main contact number for Lambda Horizon, the LGBT student organization. I mean, yeah, it was called an STD. They refer to it as a sexually transmitted disease in the letter before this, I believe. Or no, where was it? I guess not on the flyer. They don't specifically call it an STD, but I do know that in other of the materials, it has been, they definitely refer to it that way. So then we have the news release, February 17th, 1986, to news media from Virginia Tech's AIDS Education Committee regarding AIDS Educational Forum. An AIDS Educational Forum will be held on the Virginia Tech campus on March 1st, 1986, in McBride Hall, room 100. Enclosed is a copy of the program flyer, an information brief, and a copy of the letter being sent to colleges, universities, health departments, and hospitals in the state. A reception in the University Club on campus from 5 o'clock to 7 p.m. will be held following the forum. This will enable you to meet our guest speakers. Wow. Sorry, my tongue got a little ahead of me there. AIDS Education Committee. Mark A. Weber, President of Lambda Horizon. Keith D. McElhaney, Secretary of Lambda Horizon. Lucretia Cavan, Graduate Intern, Virginia Tech Union. Walter Von Len, Medical Doctor. Physician at the University Student Health Service. Richard Desjardins, MD, Physician at the University Student Health Service. Dr. Edward Spencer, Director, Housing and Residence Life. Mary Thoreen, Program Director, Student Activities. Ken Israel, Counselor, University Counseling Service. Joanne Underwood, Health Educator, Student Health Service. Charles W. Schiffert, MD, Director, University Student Health Service, Advisor to the AIDS Education Committee. And then to selected universities and organizations from the AIDS Education Committee of Virginia Tech, February 11th, 1986. The AIDS Education Committee of Virginia Tech would like to invite you to attend our AIDS Educational Forum on March 1st, 1986, 9:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Topics to be discussed include medical, legal, and psychological aspects of AIDS, women and AIDS, and a discussion with AIDS and ARC patients. Working together on this forum about AIDS has been so enriching to us as faculty, staff, and students that we wish to share it with the broader community. We will make available to you videotapes of the program and complete cooperation in providing any information in developing a program that would fit your college or community. So incidentally, they say that videotapes will be made available, and I do indeed have video of the forum from 1986. We might be able to look at some clips of that in a moment. We hope that the timing of your forum will allow a representative of your organization to attend. A reception at the University Club here at Virginia Tech from 5 to 7 will be held following the forum. This will enable you to meet with us and our guest speakers. Feel free to contact us for more information, and then again the list of the people on the committee. Contact sent specifically to faculty members, February 7th, 1986. Dear faculty member, the AIDS Education Committee would like to invite you to our forum. We would also appreciate your support in recommending to your students that they attend as well. So they did a lot of work, and this is 1986. This is like, they had to physically create copies of these letters and send them out. This is not like type an email and drop in a distribution list and send it. Oh yeah, so a lot of this collection, Kupima, has been converted. So I definitely do, I don't think we did the VHS conversion. I think it came to us on a DVD, but it's now online, the video from the forum itself. We have a number of other videotapes for other things that, that we've converted as well, but I believe this one came to us as a DVD. Because I think Mark Weber, who donated the collection, had already converted it at some point, but that's just me trying to remember off the top of my head. I don't know for certain. So again, another invitation letter to the administrators, directors, deans, and department heads, and this one was sent on January 16th. Another variation on the flyer. This one is the schedule for the event. AIDS Educational Forum, March 1st, 1986, McBride 100. Featured guests, Richard Keeling, James E. Mercer, attorney, civil rights insurance and legal complications with the disease. Walter von Len, who was talking on parents and AIDS. Ingrid Grieger, psychologist, and Anita Tiemann, who talked about women and AIDS, Reverend Thomas Wilson from Christ Episcopal Church Support Services, and Robert Edwards, team leader of support groups, the Whitman Walker Clinic in Washington, D.C., who was here to talk about AIDS and ARC patients. And so this entire thing, this entire schedule of stuff was done by a student group. The entire event was put together by a student group. They got administrators on board to assist them, but it was a student-led effort to try and educate about the topic, which was brand new at the time. And people were scared. People did not know a whole lot. And especially within the LGBT community, people were really scared because it was known as the gay disease, and it was assumed that if you were a gay man, you were going to get it and die from it. So this is the program. I actually have an actual copy of the program, so I think we'll skip past the photocopy that's in here, because this, like I said, this is just a scrapbook of stuff about it. Sorry, this tablet is having notifications pop and they're distracting me, so I closed it. AIDS Education on a Shoestring, brought to you from Virginia Tech University, Blacksburg, Virginia. So they actually, beyond just doing education here, they went to other universities, they partnered with other universities in subsequent years to do additional forums and to bring AIDS education to other campuses in Virginia. And they put together kind of a guide to how to do this education on college campuses. It was amazing. I don't know what I don't know what you mean by that, that last comment, Kupima. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. So at the beginning, who is sympathetic? Gather your strength. Who is already working on it? So identify your allies first. Sympathetic, possibly, but not always. Lambda Horizon, the gay and lesbian campus organization. Faculty from interested fields of study: biology, human sexuality, health education. Office of Student Affairs, Student Health Services, Student Counseling Services, Housing and Residence Life. The University Council, which is the university's legal department, because there were significant potential legal issues with having people on campus who were infected with this brand new unknown infection, or with denying them access because of it. So legal counsel would potentially be interested. Student Activity Office, some local churches and clergy, some campus religious groups, health departments in the surrounding area, physicians and nurses. And then already working on it, so specifically on the Virginia Tech campus at the time, Lambda Horizon, an intern from Virginia Tech Union, which is the Student Activities Office, University Student Health Services, Office of Housing and Residence Life, and the University Council. So what should they educate about? Broad spectrum coverage, scientific description of the disease, the tests that exist, how it spreads, policies in universities about the disease, legal aspects, wills, civil rights, rights of patients in hospitals, insurance coverage, handicap laws, and legal aspects of testing, psychological aspects, spiritual aspects, support groups for patients, women and AIDS, parents and AIDS, firsthand discussions by AIDS and ARC patients, and most importantly, the compassion needed at this time for our fellow human beings. Televise your program for reuse. Be sure the press covers the program. Advertise your program widely and mail letters to all health personnel in your area. Let it be known that healthcare workers and students are welcome. Ask professors to give extra credit for attendance. Encourage attendance by pre-med, biology, and health education students. Use these groups as ushers and helpers, and they will be there. And the next page, where's the money? How do you do it? This is, again, how to plan it on a shoestring. There are tests, Kupima. Most public health clinics, like you can just walk into a public health clinic and get a test done, usually for free. And if it comes back positive, they will, they'll provide you, like they have counselors available that they can refer you to as well. It is not, so AIDS is a disease that develops from HIV, which is the virus, and it is spread through blood and bodily fluids. There have been significant strides made in extending life. It's not necessarily a death sentence for somebody who is diagnosed with it anymore. There are treatments. They're still extremely expensive. But yeah, I mean, if you go to like the World AIDS Day website, you can find out lots of information. The Red Ribbon campaign is also, I believe, just me. If you go to redribbon.org, that should be, nope, that is not the one that I was thinking of. Yeah, I would say just the easiest place to start for if you want additional information is just go to worldaidsday.org, and you can get lots of information there about specifically World AIDS Day, which is today, the red ribbon, what it means, the campaign, events, but you can also just search for like local like AIDS testing in your area, search for a public clinic, anything like that. Planned Parenthood would have those resources. So because this program goes out worldwide, I don't have specific resources gathered for specific areas, but yeah. Yeah, in most cases, you can definitely get free testing. Just about anywhere, at least in the US, you just contact your public health clinic and they can give you an AIDS test for free. And that's because a lot of times there's social stigma attached with just asking for the test. And so people don't want to go to like their regular family physician and ask in a lot of cases. And they don't want it to go on their insurance. And they don't, so, but it's very important to get tested, and it's recommended, honestly, if you're at all sexually active or if you've had any sort of contact with intravenous medications or anything like that, that you should be getting tested. And so in order to make sure that people have access to tests and get tested, public health clinics make those tests available for free, so that people will come in and actually get tested, and they don't have to reveal to anyone that they are getting tested. Like they don't have to tell their regular doctor, they don't have to tell their insurance. That's kind of why those clinics are the ones that offer the free testing. So in planning a thing, they had recommendations on how to find money. Let me see. I think we'll move on from the scrapbook because it has been over a half hour now. Well, Kupima, you may be joking, but that is a genuine fear that a lot of people have, is that their doctor would look at them that way. And so that is why there's hesitancy at getting the test done, and why public health clinics actually offer them for free. I'm gonna skip the meeting minutes. So I have actual copies of some flyers here. Also, hi, I am Puddle Glum. It's good to see you. So this is one of the table cards unfolded, but this is, I read it earlier in the scrapbook as a flyer, but this is just reoriented so that you would fold it along this line and just sit it on a table, and it could just be out with that information for people as a table card, a table tent. We have the program from the AIDS Educational Forum, Saturday, March 1st, 1986. And so general information, overflow room, workshops when they're held, who the sponsoring people were. And then information about individual workshop locations. So we've already covered like all of what was included in the forum. So I'm not gonna like read the entire program to you, but that was what the program looked like. Flyers. What else do we have? February 19th, 1986, we have a letter here addressed to Mr. Kim McDonald at the Chronicle of Higher Education, which is a major publication within academia and is read by faculty and administrators across universities all across the US. I'm not sure if it extends outside the US as far as its regular distribution. Dear Mr. McDonald, in an effort to increase statewide awareness of the AIDS epidemic, Virginia Tech has formed the AIDS Education Committee. A major effort of the committee will be an educational forum to be held on March 1st, 1986 from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. in McBride 100 on the Virginia Tech campus. Our nationally renowned keynote speaker will be Richard P. Keeling, medical doctor, chairman of the AIDS Task Force of the American College Health Association, and Director of Student Health Services at the University of Virginia. Topics that will be discussed include medical, legal, and psychological aspects of AIDS, women and AIDS, and a discussion with AIDS and ARC patients. The forum will begin with an introductory discussion by Dr. Keeling, followed by individual workshops to provide a more in-depth coverage of individual topics. The conclusion of our forum will be a short presentation dramatizing the tragedy of AIDS. Enclosed is a copy of a program flyer, an information brief, and a copy of the letter being sent to colleagues, universities, health departments, and hospitals in the state. You are cordially invited to attend the forum and the reception to be held on campus. This will enable you to meet with our guest speakers. Our forum is indeed unique, and we hope that other colleges and universities will initiate similar programs. And looks like they sent this to various people. Direct invitations to get people to come and attend, which is a lot of work for undergraduate students at a time when people didn't have cell phones, most people didn't have computers. They did the research to figure out who to contact and mailed letters to people. All right, let's see here. Chronology. So this one is somewhat interesting. It's undated, but contemporaneous to the other materials. So mid-1980s. And the folder itself is just titled AIDS Questionnaire, no date. I believe, yeah, okay. I have 3 different places where I can see what's going out on stream and see if I've placed things so that you can see them, but they're all delayed by a different amount. It's rather humorous. All right. Dear participant, as you all know, part of Lambda Horizon's mission to educate ourselves and the general university community, I have been working on an independent research project which is concerned with educating people about AIDS. As part of this project, I wanted to find out how much our organization's members know about AIDS. Enclosed in this envelope is a confidential questionnaire. I would like to present the results of this questionnaire to the American College Health Association AIDS Colloquium in New Orleans on May 27th. As well, this information could be used in planning other educational seminars for our organization. Your help is really needed. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. Please take the time to fill out the enclosed questionnaire without referring to any informational material that you have on AIDS. It is important for us to find out what you currently know about AIDS. Furthermore, your quick response is needed so we can present this data in New Orleans. Let me take the time to stress that all of your responses will be confidential. Please do not put your name on this questionnaire or identify yourself in any way. The project is being done in conjunction with a faculty member in the marketing department. However, no one had access to the Lambda Horizon's mailing list but myself. Thank you for your time and assistance. Both are greatly appreciated. Sincerely, Mark A. Weber. So, The questionnaire that they have, circle as many of the symptoms below that you believe are associated with AIDS. Circle as many of the ways below that you believe can lead to the transmission. Circle what experts commonly cite as the minimum and maximum incubation period. Circle what you believe is the medical cause. Circle what you believe is ARC's relationship to AIDS. Circle what you believe is the total reported number of diagnosed cases of AIDS in the USA. Circle as many of the groups of people below that you believe are in a high-risk group for getting AIDS. We're going to look at responses, which is why I'm sort of skipping through the questions quickly. Circle any of the methods below that can be used to prevent the spread of AIDS sexually. Circle any of the methods below that can be used to prevent the spread of AIDS through intravenous drug usage. Circle below what you believe the HTLV3 antibody test can tell you. If you test negative to the HTLV3/LAV antibody test, does that mean you have not been exposed to the AIDS virus? If you test negative and you do not use needles intravenously or have any sexual contact for 6 months and you retake the test, is there a possibility that you will now test positive? If you have AIDS, are you protected under any legal statutes? Currently, if you donate blood, is there any risk of getting AIDS to the giving AIDS to the donor? If you receive a blood transfusion, is there any risk of getting AIDS? If you found out that your best friend had contracted AIDS, how would your behavior change? Where have you gathered most of your information about AIDS? And then rate each of the following types of sexual conduct by circling the appropriate number. 1 means safe, 2 means possibly unsafe, and 3 means unsafe. Next, please answer whether or not you plan to engage in this activity in the future by circling yes or no. So you can tell why they were like, don't give us any information on who you are, because they get kind of personal with these questions. Initial feelings and emotions when you think of AIDS. And then some demographic information. So, Mark at this time was a student, and so he's actually, I think, used part of this for a student project in his marketing class. All right, I know there's some responses in here. Total people surveyed 60, male-female ratio 50-50, 98% response rate. 1 turned down after reading entire packet, handed back with look of disgust. Sample area, academic buildings and library. Strongest association, disease, homosexuality, fear, request for more info. More correct information than incorrect. Big gap, no symptoms, follow-up survey, what are the symptoms of AIDS? Okay. Let's see. Conclusions. The highest association with AIDS is fear at 41%. The next is a request for more information at 40%, followed by homosexual and sympathy concern at 38%. Next highest was disease at 35%, and finally death had a 16% association. Let's see. We have actual surveys as filled out. If I go far enough, I thought we did. Maybe we don't. I think it's just the analysis. I thought we had the data. It might be in another folder. But so kind of interesting. It seemed like most people had accurate answers. Even when this was done, which would have been sometime between 83 and 87 that this survey was done. And so as part of it, they had a dramatization. Matthew, if a tree should fall. I don't think I've ever actually read this. I'm going to read it. Matthew, if a tree should fall. In Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, Linda says, I don't say he's a great man. His name was never in the paper. He's not the finest character that ever lived, but he's a human being, and a terrible thing is happening to him. So attention must be paid. He's not to be allowed to fall into his grave like a dog. Attention must finally be paid to such a person. Over 8,000 people have died from AIDS since it was identified in 1981. About 75% of these people were gay or bisexual men. Now, this was from 1986, so 8,000 people between 81 and 86, according to this. That is a statistic, and sometimes statistics are the covers we pull over our heads to hide from the things that go bump in the night. We can be as children squeezing our eyes tightly shut till the bad thing goes away. This bad thing that happens to other people, to those people, to the thin guy in the documentary, the handsome movie star on the cover of Parade magazine, not to us, not to me. But it is happening to Matthew. He's 26 years old. He grew up in a small town. His parents have a picture of Matthew at his second birthday party where he ceremoniously sat on his own cake, the pleased look on his face. A favorite family story told about his first day of nursery school when he sneaked out of the playground and was found tenaciously trotting back home as fast as his chubby little legs could take him. He still has a scar on his knee as a memento of his first solo bicycle ride. Matthew won a prize in the 4th grade talent show for his rousing rendition of Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. One summer, he opened his own unsuccessful sidewalk lemonade business. The following summer, he spent a month at camp and was named Camper of the Year. Matthew began to outgrow his town in his early teens with the discovery of his own sexuality. It was a difficult period for him. Small towns are hard places to be different. But he went through the time-honored paces of adolescence. He fought the good fight for clear skin against acne. He got caught smoking in his room. He wasn't a jock, but developed a honed sense of humor, seeking his niche in the high school hierarchy with wit. He managed to dent the family car the first night his dad gave him the keys. He took a pretty girl to his prom, but got respectfully drunk and staggered through the round of after-prom parties. By his last year of high school, Matthew was only biding time until he left for the university. He chose a large school, far from home, in the hopes of exploring his difference without placing an unnamed stigma on his family. His first few weeks away were shaky ones. He sought his own kind while trying to protect his cover. Matthew slipped onto the fringe of Gay Students Alliance gatherings. Gradually, he became less lonely. He found he wasn't so different. His way wasn't wrong. It was merely another way. His new lifestyle came to fit him like a warm coat he'd been shopping for all the autumns of his life. He made good friends, he fell in love, and came unto his own way of loving. His years at the university were good ones. Matthew did fairly well academically, graduating in the top third of his business college. He accepted a job with a corporation in a large city, found a wonderful apartment, and began his adult life. There is little here that any of us would want to close our eyes against. There is little of the unfamiliar in Matthew's story. Most of his story is our story. Our sons, daughters, spouses, siblings have taken similar paths. For many of us, all that makes Matthew's story different is the fact that he is gay. In some ways, Matthew came of age at a fortuitous time. Homosexuals were coming out of the closet. There were plays and movies, TV panels, campus groups, nightclubs, all centered on gays and gay lifestyles. Now it turns out that while there was a more general cultural acceptance of homosexuality, certain individuals still had problems with it. Among these individuals were Matthew's mom and dad. They would not, or perhaps could not, accept that the son they had nurtured and laughed and cried over, this babe they'd laced into little shoes the size of adult thumbs, this child whose hurts they had kissed to make better, this youth who had grown from sapling into tree, this firstborn who was to have carried their dreams forward, was a queer. Their boy became a man, a gay man, and they turned their backs on him, banished him. Matthew was a son without parents, a man without family, yet his needs remained the needs of any human being. To paraphrase Shakespeare, hath not he eyes? Hath not he hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions? Fed with the same food, hurt with the same weapons, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as a straight man is, if you prick him, does he not bleed? There is a phrase I omitted from Shylock's speech which says, is he not subject to the same diseases, healed by the same means? And here is the place where we squeeze our eyes tightly shut again. About 2 years ago, Matthew began to feel constantly tired. He had a persistent sore throat, suffered an excessive weight loss, the suspicion, the affirmation of AIDS. Gradually, he became less able to work. Once he was denied access to a hospital. He ran out of money to purchase respite. He became weaker, more ill. We know this story too, the ravages of this horror, this disease. The story of people who are desperately ill and with the illness progressively isolated from the human grace. Matthew is dying. Before there is even time to make his mark upon the world, he is leaving it. He leaves what you or I would leave. The glory of the first signs of spring, the way the birds come back in celebration of warmth, laughter, food and wine shared by friends. The memories, rich bolts of remembering unfurled again and again, the pure pleasure of small successes. The incredible book or film or piece of music. The wide blue of sight of open water as you drive around a bend in some road. These things and a million others are being left behind. There isn't much time left. A young man is suffering terribly, and he is alone. Open your eyes. Help ease him gentle to the night. Matthew is dying. Attention. Attention must be paid to such a person. By Anne Goette. So, one second. So we've spent quite a bit of time on Mark Weber's papers so far, and I think we should look at something else. Let's see, what do I want to look at next? I think the next one that we're going to look at is materials from the road company. So let me pull up and tell you about the road company. So we know what we're looking at with these new materials. All right. I just have to actually find the finding aid here. Okay. So these next materials come from the Road Company records. The Road Company was a community-based theater company in Johnson City, Tennessee, dedicated to the production of new theater reflecting the concerns and interests of the community based on the premise that theater is a community event. Established in 1972, they produced plays about Southern community history, frontier experiences in democracy, ancient and modern myths, the moonshine trade, land issues, wild lemons, love stories, and the impact of the world energy situation on Johnson City. Many of the plays performed were original works created for the company, and the company worked collaboratively with other community theaters. They closed up production in 1998. So there were a number of folders in this collection that were marked as being related to AIDS. And so the first one that we're going to look at is just labeled 1990, HIV/AIDS education. Did I zoom in really far? I think I did. I think I had my hand on the zoom and didn't realize I had zoomed in. One moment while I reset the zoom so that you'll actually be able to see things that we look at. Okay, so 1990, HIV/AIDS education. The first item here is Speak Up Now Theater Student Responses, the AIDS play. So these are, I assume, quotes to a student survey following the performance of a play. Quote, "I don't know what I would do if I had AIDS or a friend of mine did. It would be hard. I wish I could say I would stand behind them, but I honestly don't know. Do you think you would react the same in a real-life situation?" It showed that just because someone has AIDS, you don't have to treat them like a walking time bomb. They made me realize that anyone can get HIV. I felt like I was part of the play. I think a lot more people should see this play because some people still don't understand the risks. Your play was great. You provided a lot of information that I didn't know and need to know. I didn't realize that you needed to use nonoxynol 9 with a condom. I have absolutely no idea what that is a reference to, but also I'm not certain what that quote is saying. Whether whatever that nonoxynol 9 thing is must be used with a condom, but the reverse of that, not so much. You don't have to use this nonoxynol 9 thing in order to use a condom. I don't know. I don't know what that one means. I would have to do some research to find that out. This has helped me be able to say no to my boyfriend and to understand the AIDS virus. I always heard you could get it if someone sneezed on you or by any way. I didn't know you could live with someone and still not get it. I learned that HIV could start and not be AIDS for a long time. This really brought the message straight through to me. I've known about AIDS, but have never really had it talked about like this. This was a really good presentation. Huh. So some additional responses there about the choices they made in the production. I don't know much about this production. I've never looked at these materials before, so we'll see what it gives us. Nonoxynol 9. I'm going to look it up. Oh, it's a spermicide. Sometimes abbreviated as N9, is an organic compound that is used as a surfactant, a member of the nonoxynol family of non-ionic surfactants. N9 and related compounds are ingredients in various cleaning and cosmetic products, widely used in contraceptives for its spermicidal properties. Typical surfactant used as a vaginal spermicide. Interesting. So we have, it looks like we have a script. We'll take a look at it. A young father's story. Characters: Richard, a high school senior whose girlfriend is pregnant. Susan, his younger sister, who is 14 or 15. Sylvia, the girlfriend, also a senior. And Jody, Sylvia's friend, can be played as male or female. Action takes place on right, left, and center stage with soft freezes on characters not currently having focus. I have not read a play in a while. I don't know whether I will try to do voices or not, but Mom and Dad make me so mad. They have no right to tell me what to do. It's my life, isn't it? I guess so. I mean, think, sis. It's no big deal if they have a little bit of control. I do what they say. I'm not selfish. I'm not a selfish person. Sure you are, bro. Oh, I'm not that bad. When have I ever been selfish to you? When? I asked you for some of your goodies. You know, the drugs? Well, you don't need to be getting into that. Well, if you can do it, why can't I? That's a different story. Maybe I made a couple of wrong turns, but I'm still okay. But our folks still had no right to kick me out. Sure they did. No, they didn't. What am I supposed to do now? Just go out on my own? I can't make it by myself. Sure you can. Then you can control your own life and stop telling me what to do. I hate this. Don't you see you have a responsibility to finish school? You can't get mixed up into drugs. Well, you have a responsibility too. Well, don't you worry about me. But I'm supposed to look after you. You're not even doing a good job looking after yourself. I can take care of myself. Well, if that's the case, why is it such a big deal that they kicked you out? It's a different story. I'm not even out of high school yet. This stuff isn't really hurting me. Sure it is, you just don't know it. Do you think you're addicted? Nah, of course not. Then why did our parents kick you out? If I'm addicted, don't you think I'd know it? Not necessarily. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you realize you're doing something wrong. So what am I supposed to do? Looks like I've got two choices. I can live like a bum out here on the streets, or what? Quit the stuff? It's not a big problem. It's not like I've been on the stuff a long time. If you prove to our parents, if you go to a drug rehab center, if you go through treatments and show our folks that you've changed, maybe they'll take you back into the house. But how can they trust you if you're doing drugs and you're lying about doing them? How can they trust you to live in their home? They still had no right to do that. Sure they did. Plus you've been stealing from me. I didn't steal anything major. Well, I did come to your room and I borrowed some of your tapes. And hey, it's not that bad. It's no big deal about the tapes. And you'll be able to kick the drugs. I know. I just don't know what to do, Susan. I haven't told you about Sylvia. She's pregnant now and she wants to have an abortion. That's really the reason I started getting high so much. I know I've been playing around with drugs before, but when Sylvia told me she was pregnant, I was happy about the thought of being a dad. Then she told me she was getting an abortion, and because it's her body, she can do what she wants. Oh, Richard, that's too bad. I'm sorry. But why would you be glad about the pregnancy? You're too young to be a father anyway. You should be happy she's going to take care of it with no hassle to you. Oh, I have no idea what autocorrect did for the... DJ Phoenix, I'm not certain what you saw, but... Anyway. It's only a few more pages in this play. I'm curious to see where it goes. Look, Susan, I thought you were my friend as well as my sister. Please try to understand this baby is me. It's something good I can say I did. I mean, Mom and Dad think I'm good for nothing, but I was going to take care of this baby, get a job. I would even marry Sylvia so we could both be with our baby. But she wants to kill it. Have you told Sylvia the way you feel? Nah, what's the use in talking to her? She has her mind made up. Oh, why did? Yeah, I still don't know where that was, DJ Phoenix, but yeah, I mean, mistyping things. It's not super easy to make corrections on typewriters. You can do it, but it's not super easy. And maybe they didn't even notice, I don't know. Scene switches to other side of stage where Sylvia is talking to a friend. I think Richard hates me now, but I can't have this baby. What about school? What about my life? And what are my parents going to do when they find out? I'm curious to see what this has to do with AIDS. I know, it's a lot for the brother to lay on a 14 or 15-year-old sibling. Okay, I don't know why this play is in the AIDS folder, because I don't see any mention of AIDS at all. So I'm gonna stop here. We can come back to this later another day if people want me to finish reading this play about teenage pregnancy and abortion from the Road Company. We can do that later. Interestingly, topical for today, given the Supreme Court hearings that are going on today. Let's see. So one of the things that I'm running up against here is this collection was processed, and so this folder is marked as 1990 HIV/AIDS education, and it has some material on that, and it's likely that this came to us in a folder that was marked with that title, but that had other things filed into the folder before it came to us, and so they stayed in that folder. I don't know for certain. B+, thank you. Okay, let's see. We have a memorandum here from the State Department of Education of Tennessee from September 26, 1990, to the superintendents and directors of schools. Request for proposals, HIV/AIDS education mini-grants. This is to announce the availability of federal funds to support the efforts of local education agencies to strengthen HIV/AIDS education. 9 grants in the amount of $5,125 each will be awarded to encourage the development of innovative and effective programs for accomplishing this purpose. The deadline for submitting a proposal is October 24, 1990, and grant recipients will be notified by November 21, 1990. The grant award period will begin January 2, 1991, and continue through June 30, 1991. Each local school system that did not receive one of the earlier mini-grants is eligible to submit only one proposal. Application format guidelines for writing the proposal, evaluation criteria, and other information are attached. Okay, so they were wanting to incentivize some education. Application guidelines, review form. Do we have an actual copy of? We do have a copy of the actual application from the road company. Did our parents? Oh, yes. Yes, I think I made a correction in reading it too, but yeah, I do remember that was, the sentence definitely had a typo in it, DJ Phoenix. School system, Johnson City School System, program title Teen Theater Project, October 23rd, 1990, requesting the full grant. The Road Company, a professional not-for-profit theater company in Johnson City, Tennessee, in partnership with the Johnson City School System, respectfully requests funds from HIV/AIDS education and prevention to develop a teen theater that enables teenagers to explore AIDS, substance abuse, teen pregnancy, and other at-risk behaviors through the experience of drama. We will recruit 10 to 16 local high school students who will meet 2 afternoons a week at Science Hill High School. The students will participate in intensive learning sessions with local health professionals on topics such as AIDS, homosexuality, chemical dependency, anatomy, pregnancy and childbirth, and communication skills. They will also learn basic improvisational theater skills. Once the information is gathered, the group will create a series of short plays dealing with specific situations and character choices. The plays will then be toured to local schools and community groups in Upper East Tennessee with the intent to share information and create a dialogue about these important issues. So now I at least understand how that play that we were looking at ties in. While that play is not specifically about AIDS, it is about other topics that they mention in the grant proposal. Chemical dependency, pregnancy, etc. The intent of the program is to create a peer guidance program that utilizes the form of theater. Our goal is to develop skits which raise the many tough issues that teenagers face as they become sexually active in a world with AIDS. The students will learn a lot of facts about human sexuality and will be asked to explore issues teens face, including topics such as teen pregnancy, alcohol and drug abuse, AIDS, and building good relationships. They will also learn such life skills as effective communication, listening skills, and enhancing self-esteem. Through various exercises, the participants will sharpen and build their dramatic skills. The troupe will perform for a variety of groups in the community, such as churches, schools, and civic organizations. As a part of the presentations, the group will lead discussion among audience members, answering questions in character. We will involve parents by sending a great deal of information home with their children. We will also be looking for parents who are willing to assist with transportation to and from performances. Goes on to list some more stuff. I'm not going to read an entire grant application, but budget. Let's see what else is here. Final report. We can look at the final report. Let's see how the project went. This project involved the development of a peer guidance program in the form of a teen theater group at Science Hill High School that would address the issues of AIDS through drama. The project was conceived in 3 phases, and this report looks at the successes and the problems encountered during each phase of the project. 12 students were involved in initial learning sessions that took place between October and January of 1990-1991. 8 learning sessions were held on the topic of HIV infection and AIDS. The group spoke with Mary Kay Bearden and the Tri-Cities AIDS Project, several people in our community who have been diagnosed HIV positive, teens at the Watauga Mental Health Adventure Program for Substance Abuse, and Celine Harden, the Family Life Educator in Johnson City Schools. We watched 3 films about AIDS and attended a conference on teen pregnancy model programs where we saw performances by other teen theater groups in Tennessee. We named ourselves the Sun Theater, Speak Up Now, and declared our mission was to shine rays of light on issues that are often pushed in dark corners. This particular phase was funded by donations from the Department of Pediatrics at the Quillen College of Medicine and Dr. Barbara Kimbrough. In Phase 2, 8 students participated in the development of a play from the information gathered in the learning sessions. The students met for rehearsals twice a week where they sifted through the information, interviewed fellow students, developed characters, and improvised scenes. The final script was written by project director Emily Green from stories and improvisations developed by the students. Phase 3 involved performances of the play in each health class at Science Hill High School for girls incorporated in Kingsport and Johnson City, and for students attending Upward Bound programs at Tusculum College and ETSU, which would be Eastern Tennessee State University. In all, approximately 400 young people in the Tri-Cities saw the play. Ms. Green introduced each performance with a bit of background on the project and the process. Then the play was presented. Every audience responded with absolute attention to the play. The performance closed with the reading of a poem written by a local woman who is HIV positive. For the performances in the schools, the students were then asked to write a brief response expressing how the play made them feel and posing questions that occurred to them during the performance. A discussion would follow, facilitated by Ms. Green and/or Ms. Harden, in which the audience and performers would exchange ideas and information. Issues that came up in discussion included at-risk behaviors and how to avoid them, how one might react to a classmate who had AIDS, the difference between AIDS and HIV infection, current research and statistics on the AIDS epidemic, safe sex, homosexuality, and the social stigma of HIV infection. The students responded positively to the play. When asked if the program should be continued next year, each group responded with a resounding yes. As it was originally conceived, the structure of the presentation intended to allow the students to remain in character and answer questions from the audience. We found that the script we developed did not lend itself to such a presentation. The students were encouraged to respond to questions from the audience, but as themselves rather than as characters in a scene. We found the discussion engendered confidence and aided in the development of leadership skills for the students involved. We feel that the structural change in the presentation had no negative impact on peers performing for peers. A lack of clarity within the school administration about the status of the project was a problem early on. We lost our initial sponsor and struggled to find a new sponsor and a new space in which to hold rehearsals. As a result, we lost valuable rehearsal time. The project director had scheduled time away from the project in March with the expectation that the play would be complete and already into the performance phase. As it turned out, the group was still in the midst of creating the play. Because the group did not reach closure before this break, we lost 4 of our most dependable members to other school activities. Resuming rehearsals after the break was extremely difficult. Ms. Green kept pushing, and by the end of spring break, the play was written. The group spent 2 intensive weeks of rehearsal. By the time the production was ready, there were 4 weeks left in the school year, and missing classes became a great concern. Many of these problems will be alleviated next year as our status in the system and our rehearsal space is more secure. The principal at Science Hill and the drama teacher, who were hesitant about the project at first, both attended performances and were impressed with the students and the script. Therefore, we feel the project will have smoother sailing within the school administration. We will be able to complete Phase 1, the learning sessions, much earlier in the fall. With the experience of creating one play under our belts, the writing and development phase will also be shorter, leaving more time for performances during the school year. Ms. Green already has new recruits lined up, and many interested students came forward from our audiences, and there will be several students who will continue on from the current year. This particular script will be recast and available very early in the year, making it available for events through the Tri-Cities AIDS Project and other family life programs within a 60-mile radius of Johnson City. Several more scripts can be developed around issues of sexual responsibility and drug use. In spite of the difficulties, there were great successes. The group of students that became involved was a diverse group. Several at-risk students were active in the group. A deaf student performed a monologue that was taken from her own experience with a boy who was trying to pressure her into having sex. She told the story in sign language as another student interpreted for the audience. A shy young black woman learned to speak up with grace and authority. The partnership that developed between Barbara Lawson, Celine Harden, and Emily Green was extremely productive. Ms. Green gained valuable feedback from Ms. Lawson and Ms. Harden as the project developed, and incorporated their suggestions into the process and the script. In conclusion, the participants consider the project to be successful. We have a good handle on what our problems were and how to solve them. We are looking forward to next year. Payment requests. Well, the only play that's actually in this folder is the one that we were looking at that dealt with substance abuse and teen pregnancy. Interesting. I have more folders, though, from the Road Company, so let's see what else we've got. Kupima, the only streaming service that I am presently on is Twitch. I am streaming on 2 different Twitch channels at the moment. So I stream both on the VTUL Studios channel and my personal channel for this program. So I'm just trying to reach as broad an audience as possible. The Archival Adventures show does get uploaded to the library's YouTube channel, and there's a playlist on the Virginia Tech University Library's YouTube channel with past episodes of Archival Adventures. So this is 1992 AIDS education folder. Looks like we have a magazine article. I'm wondering if this is like a research folder. Information for young people, junior and senior high school aged. As of spring 1989, more than 18,000 people between the ages of 20 and 29 have been diagnosed with AIDS. Many of them probably were infected with the virus that causes AIDS when they were teenagers. You or your friends may unknowingly be doing things that put you at risk for getting AIDS. For instance, the virus that causes AIDS can be passed from one person to another through sexual intercourse. Today, a teen in the U.S. gets pregnant every 30 seconds. Every 13 seconds, a teen in the U.S. gets a sexually transmitted disease, such as gonorrhea or chlamydia. The same sexual activities that cause pregnancy and give you STDs can infect you with the virus that causes AIDS. There are other ways besides sexual intercourse that teens can get AIDS. To find out how to protect yourself and your friends, read on. What is AIDS? AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. AIDS is a condition in which the body's immune system, the system that fights off sickness, breaks down. Because the system fails, a person with AIDS typically develops a variety of life-threatening illnesses. What is HIV infection? AIDS is caused by the virus that scientists call the human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV. A virus is a small germ that can cause disease. If HIV enters your bloodstream, you may become infected with HIV. From the time a person is infected, he or she can infect others, even if no symptoms are present. A special blood test can detect HIV infection. HIV can hide in a person's body for years without producing any symptoms. Even if no symptoms are present, anyone infected with HIV should be under a doctor's care. People infected with HIV can develop many health problems. These can include extreme weight loss, severe pneumonia, a certain form of cancer, and damage to the nervous system. These illnesses signal the onset of AIDS. In some people, these illnesses may develop within a year or two. Others may stay healthy for as long as 10 or more years before symptoms appear. What is the difference between HIV and AIDS? HIV infection and AIDS are serious health problems. AIDS is the result of a long process that begins with HIV infection. A person will not develop AIDS unless he or she has been infected with HIV. By preventing HIV infection, we can prevent future cases of AIDS. How does someone become infected with HIV? A person becomes infected when HIV is introduced into his or her bloodstream. There are two main ways that people become infected with HIV. You'll note that this document keeps using the phrase his or her. This is from the early 1990s when society was very much entrenched in the idea of a binary gender spectrum. By engaging in sexual intercourse, vaginal, anal, or maybe oral, with an infected person. By sharing drug needles or syringes with an infected person. Also, women who are infected with HIV can pass it on to their babies during pregnancy, birth, or very rarely breastfeeding. Last, some people have become infected through receiving blood transfusions. Since 1985, the American blood supply has been tested for HIV. Transmission through an infected blood transfusion is extremely rare today. How do you get HIV through sex? HIV is spread through sexual intercourse from male to female, female to male, or male to male. HIV may be in an infected person's blood, semen, or vaginal secretions. I will also note that if you are interested in actual medical information about the answers to these questions today, you should seek that information from reputable medical sources. This information that I am reading to you now is information from the early 1990s, and we know more about this virus today than we did at that time. And I cannot guarantee that this information is 100% accurate based on the knowledge that we have today. I bring that up specifically because this says HIV is spread through sexual intercourse from male to female, female to male, or male to male. It does not mention female to female. And I do not know whether that is an omission or whether there is scientific evidence that that is not a method for transmission, which I find rather suspect. That would be something that I would want to look into further if I was a female person looking to have sexual intercourse with another female person. So again, this is old information, and you should always look for current information. Just make sure that you are checking to make sure it is backed up by actual factual sources. HIV may be in an infected person's blood, semen, or vaginal secretions. It is thought that it can enter the bloodstream through cuts or sores, some so small you don't know they're there, on tissue in the vagina, penis, or rectum, and possibly the mouth. Since many people infected with HIV have no symptoms, you can't be sure who is infected. I lost my space. Any exchange of infected blood, semen, or vaginal secretions may spread the virus. Therefore, the more sexual partners you have, the greater your chances of encountering one who is infected and then becoming infected yourself. How do you get HIV from sharing needles? Sharing needles even once is a very easy way to be infected with HIV, whether you inject IV drugs or steroids. You risk becoming infected with HIV if you share needles or syringes. Blood from an infected person can stay in a needle or syringe and then be transmitted to the next person who uses it. How can I avoid infection? Don't do drugs of any kind. Delay sexual intercourse. When you decide you are ready to become sexually active, do so only with one uninfected partner in a mutually faithful long-term relationship, such as marriage. Avoid sexual intercourse with people who may be infected with HIV. Use condoms. They're not foolproof, but they help. And don't make decisions about sexual intercourse while under the influence of alcohol or other drugs. So some more questionnaire things similar to what we were just looking at. These are from the from America Responds to AIDS. Let's see. Rating behavior for risk. So some educational activities that they could have used to go along with the play that they were doing. Let's see, it's 4:07. Just trying to keep track of the time so that I don't run over by like 2 additional hours again. Thankfully, the machines in front of me are showing accurate times today. Here we have a folder that is undated, and it's just called AIDS Brochures. So let's take a look at some of these brochures. We have the Tri-City AIDS Project. Tri-Cities, this is going to be Johnson City, Tennessee. Tri-Cities is a region comprising the cities of Kingsport, Johnson City, and Bristol. So it's right in the region where Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee all meet. Let's see. Tri-Cities AIDS Project Incorporated is a not-for-profit, community-based organization serving Upper East Tennessee and surrounding areas by providing the following services: education for people at risk, the general public, medical, and other professionals; support services for people with HIV disease, their caregivers, and loved ones; counseling, advocacy, and referral services; networking, resources buddy system, HIV/AIDS support services or support groups, speakers bureau, information phone line. Let's see, Stop AIDS Appalachia, a chapter of the National Stop AIDS organization and part of the Tri-Cities AIDS Project. In Stop AIDS meetings, people have an opportunity to learn from each other, to express their fears and concerns, and to make a commitment to themselves and their community. Okay. Got some brochures from Stop AIDS Appalachia specifically. In Community Experiment, a community experiment in communication. Reserve a space for yourself now. We can stop AIDS now. Here's the terrible truth about the health crisis in our community. 157,525 AIDS cases nationwide. Almost half are dead. There's an asterisk. Where's the reference? Oh, these data are accurate as of November 1990. Most are gay or bisexual men. In Tennessee, 1,393 cases. Over half are gay or bisexual men. There is still no medical cure and no vaccine treatment for HIV. That statement is still accurate today. There is still no medical cure and no vaccine treatment for HIV. Prevention is all we've got, and that means halting transmission. Time is short. The questions we face are urgent. How can we stop spreading HIV around in our community while we're waiting for a medical solution? How can we best adjust to the incredible changes that are taking place in values, sexual behavior, and lifestyles? How can we organize the community to bring an end to the epidemic? How can we find ways to turn the negatives of this epidemic into positives while dealing with the tragedy of AIDS? The Stop AIDS Project addresses these questions and more. During the coming year, thousands of people will be meeting for one evening in small groups of 10 to 15. Here's what's in it for you. Find out from others how they are responding to the HIV epidemic. Say what you need to say about HIV prevention. Learn from one another. Contribute to the campaign to end the epidemic. Here's how it works. It only takes one evening. Stop AIDS meetings are confidential and moderated by trained group leaders. They are being held almost every day in the homes of volunteer hosts throughout our community. The only price for admission is concern. Call now for a reservation and tell your friends. Our health depends on it. The Stop AIDS Project is an unprecedented series of discussions in the history of our community, prompted by an unprecedented threat. The more of us who participate in the Stop AIDS Project, the sooner we can begin to stop the transmission of this monstrous disease. You can make a difference to yourself and the community in just one evening. Huh.
All right. I'll tell you the truth.
So again, this is all from that theater project where they've gathered all of these brochures together. How You Won't Get AIDS. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control Atlanta discuss some myths and answers some questions about the AIDS virus. And of course, on the cover of this pamphlet, they show mostly, I would say like early to mid-20s age white men. Not surprising that given that they were most likely targeting early to mid-20s white gay men for their messaging. If you want me to read brochures, I can read in more depth, but I'm just going to flip through some of them right now. This one's a fairly thick brochure, 70 pages, called Medical Answers About AIDS from GMHC Publications. So sort of less a pamphlet and more a little book. GMHC, Gay Men's Health Crisis. When was this published? I'm not certain. This is the 4th edition, revised December 1987. Forward. AIDS is overpowering. Since AIDS was first described in 1981, people have tried to label it as the gay disease, implying if there were no gay people, there would be no AIDS. However, since the beginning of this epidemic, AIDS cases in Africa, in hemophiliacs, in recipients of contaminated blood transfusions, and in babies have established the fact that AIDS is a disease of all human beings. Men and women, adults and children, bisexual, gay, and straight persons of all colors and creeds, with over 30,000 cases of AIDS verified in the United States alone at the beginning of 1987, and with over 270,000 cases predicted by 1991, AIDS is, without question, the epidemic of the century. In the ongoing absence of a curative treatment and preventative vaccine, education remains our most powerful resource for confronting this devastating health crisis. From the beginning, Gay Men's Health Crisis has been a leader in the field of educating people about AIDS, its signs and symptoms, and means of prevention. Medical Answers About AIDS, one of GMHC's important resource guides, is again updated. It will help all those interested in gaining knowledge and understanding of a deadly illness that affects more and more of our loved ones, neighbors, patients, clients, and coworkers, as well as ourselves. And then they have a very, very thick booklet with questions and answers. More stuff from the CDC. What you should know about AIDS. This one is more generally focused. We saw the pamphlet a few minutes ago that had only young white men on the front. This one includes a child, a male-female couple, and a black woman on the cover. So a more broadly targeted publication from the CDC. about AIDS. Huh. Then we get AIDS and teens, what you should know. Just a variety of drugs, sex and AIDS. And I'm guessing these pamphlets were probably handed out at some of the performances because they have multiple copies of a lot of them. So I'm guessing they had like a table where they would make pamphlets available. That's a pure conjecture on my part. I have absolutely no idea if that's actually the case. But just given the number of copies that they have of these various pamphlets, it does seem like they were in some way distributing pamphlets, because otherwise there wouldn't be a need for this many of them. And this many copies. Like there's 3 copies of AIDS, What You Should Know, 3 copies of AIDS and gay/bisexual men, 3 copies of AIDS and Women, What You Should Know, 3 copies of AIDS and the Black Community, What You Should Know. And there likely were more. There's every possibility that there were more copies, and we just retained 3 when we were processing this for the archival collections. I'm going to look at this one because it's the first one exclusive to this community that we've run across in what we've been looking at today. So AIDS and the Black Community, What You Should Know. AIDS does not care what color you are, what sex you are, what age you are, if you have sex or share needles with men or women or both. Did you know Black people are 12% of the US population, yet as of 1989, 25% of all people with AIDS are Black, 52% of all women with AIDS are Black, 60% of all babies with AIDS are Black, and 22% of all people with AIDS in Tennessee are Black? So yeah, this is 1989 numbers. It gives a definition of what AIDS is, talks about how you get it, early symptoms. Facts. You can't get HIV from toilet seats, water fountains, donating blood, sneezing or coughing, shaking hands, mosquito bites, eating utensils, hugging, swimming pools, or food. It is not in the air. It is spread through blood, sharing needles, sexual contact. Pregnant or infected women can give it to their unborn babies. Kissing does not spread HIV. In fact, some studies show saliva actually kills the virus. However, if someone who is infected has a sore or cut in the mouth and blood mixes with saliva, the blood could possibly spread the virus. So, it's wonderful informational brochures. One thing that we don't have in the brochures here, because again, these are from the 1980s and 1990s, is we don't have information on PrEP, which is a preventative medication that has to be given via prescription, but can reduce the chances that you will become infected. And is available now. You just have to talk to somebody and get a prescription for it. Let's see, what else is in here? We've got about 10 minutes left. And I have some stuff. Let's see. AIDS Awareness Week, Club Red Ribbon. Let's see. So what I'm looking at now are some things that were in the Hokie Pride records. So earlier we were looking at the stuff from Mark Webber, from his time as a leader in Lambda Horizon. Hokie Pride is the current LGBTQ plus student organization here at Virginia Tech. And so they had some materials in what they donated to the archives that are focused on the AIDS quilt, the AIDS memorial quilt. So here you can see some stickers. This is from the AIDS memorial quilt display in Washington, D.C., October 11th through 13th, 1996. If you're not familiar, the AIDS memorial quilt was displayed on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., basically covered the entire mall in 1996. And so this is, these are some stickers from that event. The National Mall being the section between the reflecting pool and the Washington Monument, so the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. There's a long stretch of just kind of basically open parkland alongside the Smithsonian Museum there, and that is the National Mall. And we have two different brochures here about the quilt. So one of the things about World AIDS Day, one of the main themes of World AIDS Day is remembering those who have been lost to the virus or to the disease, as well as remembering those who are currently suffering. The AIDS quilt does both of those. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, I think. But we're going to look at these two brochures. The AIDS Memorial Quilt is the most powerful symbol of the AIDS pandemic and a tool for education and prevention in the struggle to end the disease. More than a decade after the quilt began in 1987, our struggle to help bring an end to AIDS is more urgent than ever. With HIV infection rates rising, especially among youth, women, and in the communities of color, the quilt is committed to bringing vital HIV and AIDS education to people around the world. Please join us in our fight to honor those we have lost and to secure an AIDS-free future. The AIDS Memorial Quilt. And in the center here, you can see a photo of the quilt being displayed on the National Mall there. Reminder, your loved ones lost to AIDS and remember your loved ones lost to AIDS and honor close friends and family. Gifts to the quilt may be made in memory of a loved one. You may give gifts to the quilt in honor of someone or to commemorate special occasions, birthdays, or holidays. We will gladly send a note acknowledging your gift. So, let's see. Volunteer, view the quilt online. Over 42,000 panels of the quilt are accessible through our website. Go to our website at www.aidsquilt.org and conduct your search either by the person's name as it appears on the panel or the block number. You may also order high-quality archive prints of any quilt block online. Each beautiful quilt panel represents a loving memorial to someone lost to AIDS. Keep their memory alive by adding a memorial panel to the quilt. So it's a brochure, it's a sales pitch in part, but the quilt itself is quite interesting and definitely worth going to the website and taking a look at. It's www.aidsquilt.org. Prints from the archive, the AIDS Memorial Quilt. So you can get individual panels printed. Apparently, whenever this brochure came out, you could order prints. And that's what this other pamphlet is about. Yeah, I don't think we're going to manage to get to the video of the AIDS Educational Forum today. If you are interested in taking a look at it, it is part of the timeline of LGBT history at Virginia Tech, and that is on the Special Collections website, which is digitalsc.lib.vt.edu. Let me just grab that and drop it in chat here. We'll do that on both digitalsc.lib.vt.edu. And so that is the website for the Virginia Tech Special Collections and University Archives, our digital online site. And if you go to that site, you can find under exhibits, there is a timeline of LGBTQ+ history at Virginia Tech that you can actually find the AIDS Educational Forum there. You can also just do a Google search for Virginia Tech AIDS Educational Forum, and you can find the video that way if you are interested in checking that out. But that is going to be the end of our look at AIDS-related materials from the archives today. Let me go ahead and I'm just going to double check and see what we're streaming next week. And I need to do that somewhere where I don't need to log in. So 1 second, because I can't recall what I have planned for next week. Here we go. The plan next week is that I am going to share with you some miniature books. So stop by next Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/VTUL Studios or twitch.tv/Rogan27, and I will be sharing miniature books. I will make sure that I have a ruler on hand so that you can get a sense for exactly how small these books are, but that should be a good time. Hopefully you found this interesting and educational today. I know it's a little bit of a heavy topic, but this being AIDS Awareness or World AIDS Day, I wanted to actually do something for that and knew that we had collections of relevance. So thank you for spending your time with me and taking a look at these materials. I'm gonna look and see who we're gonna raid. Key Squared, you are absolutely welcome. Thank you for being here. I generally like to go with something chill. And I do believe that we are going to head over to the Monterey Bay Aquarium today for, I'm not certain exactly which cam they have on today. It might be the shark cam, but we are going to head over to the Monterey Bay Aquarium and just finish out the day with some lovely underwater adventure. But yeah, thank you Key Squared, thank you I Am Puddleglum, thank you Fluidan, thank you Kupima, thank you everybody for stopping by. I hope that I get to see you again soon for another episode of Archival Adventures. I will be initiating that raid very soon. And have a great day.